episode 69 of The Beardcaster. My name is Scott Sakura, and I am... Wait, what?
こんにちは。僕はレグベです。これはエピソード69ビルドキャスターのポッドキャストなんですよね。このショーのホストはスコット・シコラなんですよ。こんにちは、皆様。
Yeah, what he said, The Beardcaster. Welcome to a podcast all about beards, mustaches, and the bearded culture with all the fun stuff that goes along with it. It's about the facial hair lifestyle we live, from our daily lives and the world around us, and how we deal with life. So please join me as I share the stories about these people and hear how they are using their facial hair to do great and fun things. Once again, welcome. My name is Scott Sakura. You have found the Beardcaster podcast. You can find out more information about me by going to thebeardcaster.com. You can get linked up to all my social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, by going there. You can also subscribe via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher. There's tons of different things, but yeah, you can find me there. And just make sure you subscribe. If you'd like, you can also email me, scott@thebeardcaster.com. That'd be really great. You can share some input with me, like, hey, how's it going? Tell me what's going on in your life. Let me know how Easter was going. But yeah, so that's a little bit about me. So a little bit about today's episode. This is episode 69, and this has been an episode that's been a very long time in the planning. And It goes back to your mom 6969, which is my Lyft coupon code. So if you by some chance are getting into a Lyft, lyft.com, and you want to save a couple bucks, enter promo code yourmom6969, and the Beardcaster will help you get some money. But so anyways, episode 69 is a sex episode, and I've been brainstorming this idea for a long time, trying to figure out how can I cover beards, sex, and, just learn something and make it fun. So I started thinking about it, and I remembered something that happened to me over the summertime, and a person I met that was at one point involved in the sex industry, and they had a beard, and so I'm like, oh, you know what? This might be a perfect fit. And so as I interviewed this person, who will be known as Regev Nystrom, a lot of you guys know him. He's a freestyle guy from Peoria, Illinois. But he is also a openly gay male. And a lot of this conversation started off about me kind of learning and questioning different things about gay males and the whole bear scene and stuff like that. Because I don't know anything about that. And I know some people that listen to this podcast probably don't know much about that either, so I was just being very inquisitive. And then it turned into the sexcapade of the job that he had for a decade, and you're just going to have to kind of listen to the podcast to hear what it is. And it's really funny, and it's just something that just kind of catches you out of the blue that you would never expect someone to do. And he luckily, I guess for him, because he was into it, got to participate in this specific thing for 10 years and has a really great story and a really great sound effect out of it. So I really hope that you enjoy this episode. It's really not safe for work, really not safe for the kids. And if you're easily offended, definitely this episode's not for you. Reg just kind of goes over the top at certain points, but I more than welcomed it because it is part of who he is. It is part of what it's all about, and it's educational because I wanted to learn about his lifestyle, and I wanted to learn. This episode ended up morphing into something way more than I anticipated or wanted, and I'm very happy with it. So I hope you all enjoy it. After you guys check that out or listen to that, think about going to my Patreon page. You go to patreon.com/thebeardcaster. If by some chance you're you feel you want to make a small donation to the podcast, as little as $1 a month, it's up to you. You don't even have to. Once again, the podcast is absolutely free. This is just for the people who feel that they're getting that little extra something out of the podcast. They're getting good value out of it, and they want to help me do things to improve the podcast, to help me get places and pay for my monthly services and stuff. But I hate to beg for this, and I'm not really begging, I'm just kind of asking. But if you by some chance feel interested in wanting to help me out, the patreon.com/thebeardcaster, and you can make a donation. Or if you go to thebeardcaster.com, there's a thing on my header that'll help you go to that as well. And last but not least, once again, if you go to I'm giving you way too much to do, and I'm really apologize for that, but what I'm telling you to do is possibly going to help you win something. So you go to thebeardcaster.com/win to enter to win one of my great prize packs that I'm giving away. All you have to do is enter your name and your email address, and you get signed up on my email list, and you get a chance to possibly win one of these great prizes that I'm giving away every couple weeks. And I know that I drew my winner last week, but Frank never got back to me, so I'm going to have to draw another one next week. So when I draw another winner for that one, I'm going to draw a winner for this next one, and so I'm going to be giving away 2 prize packs this next time, so it gives you 2 chances to win, and everyone who has already entered still has a chance to win. So you don't have to keep re-entering. It's just one time only, and your chances are always there. So thank you for everyone who signed up on my mailing list. It's been this has been a good experiment because I've been getting astronomical feedback on this, and it makes me very happy. It makes me know that people are actually listening and paying attention. So, but without further ado, let's get into this little lengthy interview with Reg, and I guess we will see you on the backside. And once again, like I said, not safe for work or around the kids. So, and just be prepared. It gets a little dicey in here, so I'm giving everyone's a heads up. Be prepared. All right, and action. You said Peter.
I say a lot of words like that.
Oh, that's good. This is going to be a fun time. I figured I'm like, okay, so literally since I started this podcast, I was like, I already planned that episode 69 was going to be a sex episode.
Oh, geez.
And so this whole time I've been thinking, I'm like, okay, who could I interview that would know something about sex? And then it all dawned on me, when we were in Austin, that whole conversation we had at the hotel when you were talking about doing the translations. I'm like, I have to do you. Not literally, but.
Oh, well. You're a little far for that.
I know.
You had your chance in Austin and you blew it, Scott.
I didn't actually blow it.
No, you didn't, and that was part of the problem. God.
Oh my God. This is going to be a flirting podcast with a gay man and a non-gay man flirting with each other.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, he just had his big day yesterday.
Who did have his big day? Who?
Jesus, you said.
Oh, yes. Yeah, well, what do I know? I'm a Jew. We eat packing material for 8 days and then complain we're constipated. So,
Oy vey.
Oy.
Okay.
And we did the whole Passover spiel. And so, so eating matzah is part of that. And matzah tastes like something that you would pack into an eBay package that you were sending away. It is really pretty much the least flavorful thing you will ever eat, ever. And that just goes to show that we're all fucking masochists, because we're all like, yes, let's eat this for a week. Sure, okay. Yum. Delicious.
It reminds me of if you took a whole bunch of crackers and you just crumbled them up and added water and made just a doughy ball.
Yeah, well, I mean, even the lots of balls are good, but yeah, just cracker they are very good. And just getting the matzah crackers, oh, they suck. Oh, they're just big sad pieces of cardboard and yum.
Yuck.
Yeah.
You're not making being Jewish sound very fun.
Well, I mean, you already passed the fun holiday. That would be Purim, which is a Jewish Halloween, except you're supposed to drink until you can no longer differentiate between good and evil. Oh, the number of drunk ultra-Orthodox Jews that I have seen is staggering.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah, so sex.
So sex, yeah. So I've already started recording.
Sure.
But why don't you introduce yourself and tell everyone who you are? Not that I'm sure everyone knows exactly who this is already. But
could be the voice. Yeah, the voice is a bit of a tell.
But I mean, you're a very well known person in the beard scene. We met a few years ago. You came to Cleveland for our competition. But all right, once again, just tell us who you are and where you're from.
I am Regev Nystrom. I come from the city of Peoria, Illinois, or as I have called it, the Independent Republic of Peoria, and I have been bearding now for, good God, for, Jesus, 6-7 years now. It's been a bit. I remember going to BeardCon in Columbus and having this terrible freestyle that kind of looked like a spirograph with epilepsy, and amazingly enough, I did not place. I was shocked.
Oh my! I thought that was the French state of Illinois.
Illinois. Yeah.
Jeez,
yeah. So
okay?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I keep doing that sound, Jesus. But yeah, I've been doing freestyle now for many years with mixed results. But yeah, I've gone to Austin, Sacramento. You know, I'm one of the very few Illinois bearders because for whatever reason, Illinois is not a bearding state, and I don't know why that is.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's not much there other than Chicago.
Chicago. My old stomping grounds. It always seems like there have been attempts to make bearding clubs in Chicago, in my area, all over the place. And almost without fail, they all just vanish within a year or two. And I don't know why it is.
Well,
but it's a little annoying.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about that too the other day. I'm like, there aren't really very many clubs or even big clubs that are in major cities. Like, is there really something in New York City? Not that I can think of. There's nothing in Chicago.
There was for a bit. I actually won. They had an event. They had an event for 2 years in Chicago. It was the Chicago Beardsman, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had an event for 2 years. I went to one of them. I won first place in freestyle, which amazed me.
Congratulations.
There were only two. Well, there were only two freestylers. So, but the fact that I had won someone who I had won against someone who was pretty well known in the bearding circles, a man named Chris Kriskovich. I had beat him, and I was amazed, and I was in newspapers, and it was great. And then before you know it, the club dissolved like an Alka-Seltzer tablet, and it was just gone, and I've not heard a thing since.
Jeez.
In the Chicago area. Who knows? I'm sure there's some great story about, backstabbing and like decisiveness and people at each other's throats, but I don't know what that is. All I know is at one point I asked someone who had gone to both years of their competition. I'm like, "Oh, hey, so when is this group going to do their third competition?" And he's like, "Yeah, they're not a thing anymore." Shit. And I was like, "Well, that came out of nowhere."
Maybe did you ruin it for him?
Yes. I came in, I had a freestyle, I got a trophy, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, okay, we're done now, bye." we gave this short Jew a prize, let's go. I don't know. But yeah, they tried here in central Illinois. It was all a bunch of bikers. Just imagine me, this little 5'1", bespectacled gay Jew in a biker bar as they're trying to set up a beard club in central Illinois, and it went nowhere, and it's a shame because I mean it had promise, and but yeah, seeing me in a biker club was quite the sight because they're just like, here, drink some more. And they got me so shit drunk that I tried to call for a cab to go back home, and I couldn't explain where I was.
I could see you riding in like a little sidecar on one of the bikes.
I so wish. That would have been fucking fantastic.
I see that like vision going through my head right now. I see a big biker guy with you in the little sidecar.
and me just drunk off my ass, holding up my hands going, wee!
Whee!
I can see my house.
So where did the whole idea for you to start growing and getting into freestyle beard, where did that all stem from?
Well, I remember years and years ago, like my mom had a collection of like these
Beards?
old cabinet cards, and some of them had like, the very distinguished looking men that had like the long beards, and then like they would have like the nice like vests. And I remember being like 6 and looking at these things, and I was like, I'm gonna look like that one day. And now I sort of kind of do. And it wasn't until maybe 2009, and suddenly I was seeing pictures from the World Beard and Mustache Championships in Anchorage. And that was the year that you had Jack Passion, who's probably on the back of a milk carton by now.
Have you seen me?
Yes. Has anyone seen me? I think that was the first time I ever saw Ernie Bielefeld. And there was the man who won Best in Show, which was freestyle that year. And he kind of had this like
the basket
the snowshoe weave beard.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at that, and I was just like fixated. And I was like, I need to learn how to do that. And the first time I attempted it was, I want to say, it was a couple months before I met you in BeardCon, and I was like, I'm gonna try to do a menorah, and because of course, what is the short bearded Jew gonna try to do in freestyle?
The Star of David, come on, duh.
Right. Well, that might be coming up here in a couple of weeks, but that's neither here nor there.
All right.
But so, pro tip: if you've never freestyled before, don't be like, I'm going to do something super complicated that looks like something. Because if you don't know what you're doing, you're just asking to look like a fucking mess. No. And it was this place in like Wisconsin. I think it was like Madison, Wisconsin. And I went out there, and it was super ugly. And somehow I got second place because there was really some other competition, and like all of the beards that were considered styled or alternative beards, even like the ladies' fake categories, were all lumped into this big one category. So I lost to a Whiskerita, who was fabulous, by the way, and she was point on, and somehow I got second. It was a really weird competition, and it was like in some dingy bar, and like this dude's wife was hitting on me, and I'm like, oh, lady. Oh, you're adorable. No. Because no. Also, no.
You're giving me an idea now. Every so often when I talk to someone, I think of an idea, and you almost just give me an idea of doing like a drag whiskerina.
You know what? I wish that someone would actually do that. I mean, why not? Because there is a certain craft. Because of course, here I am, and when I go to a beard contest, frequently I'm hanging out with the Whiskerinas because we're all bitchy and we're all like, "Ooh, girl, did you see her outfit? Oh my God, no! Oh, those heels with that beard. What was she thinking?" And so we get catty, and it's adorable. But the fact that it's such a different crafting world. I mean, styling actual hair versus like building things, two completely different things. And I think guys could use that whole having to delve into that world of building facial hair from nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that would be a great. It's just like a one-off challenge for someone to see if they could do that. That would be, I would love to see that. And then to go ahead and to put together the whole outfit ensemble and make it seem like an episode of RuPaul, I would adore that. Sell me tickets for that. I am there.
Maybe there, but there you go. Maybe the club you start in the Central Illinois, the new one, the Peoria Beardsmen or whatever, and then your competition is based on Whiskerina drag, and that could be the whole theme of your competition that you throw every year.
And the sad thing is, I could name at least 3 people who would do this in this area, who would be like, yes, I think I'll do that.
Yeah, but you know how many of the girls would come out to that, too? They would come just to do it. And I guarantee you, there's enough of the dudes out there that are totally cool with their sexuality and are totally cool with the whole idea of it that would dress up. There's been plenty of dudes we've seen come to competitions in dresses and all that stuff that are straight.
Oh,
that would totally have fun doing something like this. And that's just all, it's part of the fun of getting together with your friends, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, think of how many times, like, I immediately think of, like, Bill Peterson, who will come in with the Daisy Dukes, or I remember some dude was dressed as Marilyn Monroe, but had like this rather like whaler-esque beard. So yeah, the fact that you have guys who are willing to go ahead and like play with that line is fascinating to me, because you have this whole concept of like, yeah, and it's the beards and they're manly and grr. And there's a few people who are kind of like that. And there's a few, stick up the ass dudes.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple dudes who want sticks up there, so, so there's, but you have guys who are just, so I don't give a fuck. And that's one of the reasons why I've had, as a gay man, so much comfort in the whole bearding things, because it sort of becomes kind of irrelevant, and that whole concept of like this strict, rigid, like heterosexuality gets kind of pitched out the window, and sometimes it's a bit surprising even for me. And I remember I went to Sacramento the first time I had ever gone, and there was this rather big gentleman. And I'm kind of like, oh, yeah, he's not bad looking, whatever. And then that's clearly his wife or girlfriend or whatever. And then I saw that same guy a few hours later, and by this point, this man is just lit. And I think nothing of it, and I start walking away, and I suddenly feel like these big arms like come around me and start pulling me towards him. And I'm like, who is this? And it's that aforementioned drunk as shit guy. And I start hearing him go, "Oh, honey, isn't he adorable? Can we keep him?" And she's like, "Honey, put him down. That's not yours." And and the fact that, like, if this would have happened anywhere else, I would be like, "What the fuck?" And so that was the first of many times where I've seen something like that happen, and now it's become such a commonplace thing that I'm just like, yeah. It's the bearding thing. It happens. It totally fucking happens.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's the thing is like, and I am definitely no expert on the gay culture or the whole bear scenario and what that's all about. I mean, I'd like to know more about that. I mean, if you could talk a little bit about that. But I mean,
sure.
I know that, definitely there is this whole thing of the gay male and the beard and the hairiness and stuff like that. And you would think that it would draw more of these guys into the bearding scene that we're involved in. But honestly, unless they haven't come out or anything, there aren't very many of those type of guys that are involved in the scene that we are in. I mean, you literally, I think, are the only one that I know of that is openly gay who's involved in competitive bearding.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. So as I was growing up and as I was getting older, and I suddenly started realizing, oh, hey, I think I might like guys, and you come to that realization where that interest in like a certain body type and a certain look, and you suddenly realize, oh, right, that causes erections. I think I understand this now. I think I get this. And I was probably 19 when I like discovered that there was this world of bears, and they're large, hairy gay men. And usually when you think of gay men, there's a stereotype, and they're pretty and they're camped and they're like, girl, how are you doing? And they're catty. And if you think of, to me, like the average bear is like what you'd imagine like a D&D player being. And, they have glasses and they like video games and they like, they're D&D players, or they work at Best Buy, or they're usually working in IT at their company. And they're just very much like this average guy. They tend to be hefty. They tend to be beardy. And usually like these bigger guys were like shunned among mainstream gay guys. And then slowly they're like, well, fuck you. We don't need you anyways. And then you started having these concepts of bear runs, and guys who are bears or like bears would get together on a weekend. Like there used to be one in Chicago for 20 years. Memorial Day weekend, you'd go to Chicago and you would see all sorts of hairy guys walking around holding hands, and you'd be like, there's a lot, if you didn't know better, you'd be like, there's a lot, there must be some family reunion going on because there's all these guys that look alike. And then they start making out and you go, oh no, this isn't a family reunion at all. Oh no.
Well, who knows? They might just be a very loving family.
Very loving. Yes. They must be the Promise Keepers. Yes. And so from there, the whole going into the bearding, it's been interesting because I mean, when I go there, I go for camaraderie. When I go for bearding, I go for camaraderie. I go for competition.
Yeah.
And so as a secondary thing is hey, by the way, there's a lot of really fucking good looking guys here. But some guys have the priorities flipped, and then they're immediately like, oh, I could possibly get laid here, which is a terrible mindset to go into in a bear run, and then into a beard contest or into a beard group. So if you're just trying to get your dick sucked, I mean, it maybe possibly could happen, but if that's your main goal, that's a terrible mindset. And one of the guys I know in LA was like, yeah, we kind of had to tell some guy to leave because it was really clear that he had no interest in what we were doing, but rather he was just trying to get some booty.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
And so that's kind of a problem. And I think there's just that some gay guys might not, because that's not like a main thing. Some gay guys are shallow. Some straight guys are shallow, and they're going to go somewhere because they're trying to get laid. Likewise, gay guys are going to go somewhere possibly to get laid. And they're not in the majority, but they're there. And so that kind of reduces it. And then depending on where you are, sometimes there are guys who think, that we're manly and we have beards and we have to, do these things. And then that kind of eschews things that one wouldn't consider necessarily masculine, like being gay. And again, it depends on where you are. That's not true. Like if you're out in California, if you're in the Pacific Northwest, that's totally not a thing. Whenever I competed in Ohio, absolutely not. But then you go into areas like, Georgia or, further south. And then the whole concept of, hi, I'm gay and I'm bearding causes some confusion. And I've seen some people who will add me because, I'm in beard circles, via social media.
Yeah.
And then they're suddenly like, oh, hey, this dude is super out. And then they will immediately undo the whole friend thing and they move on. And you're like, wow, that was really quick. And now it's kind of amusing to me to see how quickly someone who will add me because they're just thinking, oh, it's a beardo. And they go, oh, what the fuck have I gotten into? And just drop. It's a step. And it all depends on where you are. It all depends on the group. I think both sides kind of have to have like a really
Reg,
good
stop real
mindset
quick.
about it.
Stop real quick. The signal's pretty bad right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, it's probably just my Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi blows. But that's not all that blows.
Ah. All right. Now it sounds better.
Yeah, no, it just I get farts. I get Wi-Fi farts. It's Comcast.
It's probably a sunspot or something.
A sunspot at 9:00.
Well, it could be going through the since the Earth is flat, it could be going through one side of it.
Oh,
right through
don't you start that.
Hey, what?
I will drive over there, Mr. Sikora. I'll just go.
Oh, that sound effect. What's the action?
Oh, well, wouldn't you like to know?
I would not. Sorry.
No. But so there were actually, when I was in Austin, a number of gay guys who I met. We kind of congregated together because we had all met sometimes via like gay hookup apps.
Mm-hmm. Turning
that on at the World Bearded Mustache Championships was like, oh wow, there's a lot of us here. So yeah,
Now, well, here's a question for you. By you saying that, how many now were they there to go watch the men compete?
I mean, yeah, or to compete themselves. One of the guys was in the over 60 centimeter category. So he was there to compete, and it was his first competition, and a couple of guys flew in from Australia. Were a few
their
locals.
Arms tired?
They were flapping like crazy, and they were upside down because Australia, and it was amazing. And so there were a few guys who were there just to watch, or sometimes, admittedly, it's like, oh, hey, there's eye candy. I mean, there was plenty for me. There was plenty for several guys there because, again, you had 800 guys there. So at some point, you're going to be like, oh, hey, that was nice. Mm-hmm. Okay, 12 points. And you took off your shirt. Even more points for you.
Well, yeah, because I mean, I would think, all right, now me being a straight guy, if there was like a bikini contest going on and there was going to be 800 girls there, I mean, that would definitely be someplace I'd want to go to watch.
Oh, absolutely. And again, there's this. There are masculine traits that as guys who want guys. Not all of them do, but the ones that I know are like, oh, you have a beard. Yes. Oh, you're furry. Yes. Oh, you have a cuddly build. Absolutely. So in a way, that beardo and bear line gets really kind of blurred. Mm-hmm. And so there's times when people add me like on social media and I have to go, which one are you?
Yeah,
because it's kind of it's pretty hard to tell, but yeah,
that's what he said.
Well,
God, I got to use that one.
Man, how long have you been holding on to that?
Well, that was the first chance I've ever got to use that one, so I've been holding on to that one for a while.
Oh well, if you keep holding on to it, you'll go blind.
Yeah.
But my experience in general with bearding is that a lot of guys have been very like warm and understanding and have been like weirdly okay with the fact that I've told a few guys, I'm like, yeah, you're pretty cute. And they're like, oh, well, thank you, and I think it's because they're not, especially like bigger guys or burlier guys, beardier guys, aren't necessarily used to being sources of lust. So when that happens, it's like, well, yeah. Even if it's not from someone that you would find attractive, you're like, oh, well, someone thinks I'm hot. That's new. Okay, I'll take it. My favorite thing though is when they'll have like girlfriends or wives who are apparently a little too okay with this. And again, I remember being in Sacramento, and there was a guy who, again, I made no secret. I'm like, yeah, I'd hit it. I would tap it like Morse code. Okay. And at one point, we're all sitting, around like a campfire, and this dude's wife goes, "Oh yeah, go sit in his lap. Yo, it's totally fine." And I'm like, wait, what? Wait, what?
Is it fine with you, or is it fine with him?
Yes. And so there's this picture of just me just chilling in his lap, and he's just cracking the fuck up. And he was a huge dude, so there's more than enough space just to be like, okay, that's comfy. and his wife's just sitting there in the background, just like chilling and chatting, and I'm just like, this is a little weird. I'm not gonna lie. I'm okay. I mean, I'm totally cool with this, and I'm not gonna complain. I'm just saying that this is kind of weird. Yeah. So for the most part, it's been super positive. And they've become, really good, close friends. They've been super supportive. I've had a couple of really bad things that have happened in my life in the last few years. And the first people who have stood up and been like, okay, we kind of need to help him, have been Beardos. Mm-hmm. And it floors me that I have that kind of like a support, and there's that kind of a camaraderie. Wow, I can English today. Jeez,
big
Louise.
Words out of a little man.
Wow. I don't. Yeah. English.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like, I guess a lot of people wouldn't think that this community with the rougher looking guys or the strange people, the strange looking people or whatever are going to be the most sensitive to other people's needs. I mean, that's basically what it boils down to, like why we get together is the needs of our friends, the needs of charity, the needs of our community and stuff like that. And yeah, I know when you, like you say, you went through a lot of, crummy times a few years and just saying, yeah, that the bearding community really stepped up and gave you that hug and support that you were looking for. I mean, that's, to me, that I mean, it makes sense, but I mean, to someone else out there who doesn't know this community, I mean, I think they find it shocking at times that, that we are this way.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to go ahead and look at someone and just kind of write them off immediately. And it's a terrible thing to do, because in this case, there was these people who were, again, those first people. Recently, there was that whole California fire issue, and, one of our own lost a good chunk of his property, and he couldn't go home for a huge period of time.
Yeah.
And the fact that you had people who were immediately like, we need to give money, and we need to go ahead and try to just help rebuild. And that is fantastic.
That actually reminded me of the post I saw that Arnie made the other day where he said having you come out there and, what were you, like chop trees down or digging or something?
Yeah. Yeah, that was so weird because I'm just sitting here and I'm waiting for my, bus at a grocery store, and I'm just like, I'll flip through, social media to kill time. And it says, Arnie tagged you in a post. And I'm like, what? Why would Arnie be tagging me in a post? Maybe it's a picture of us. And then I'm reading the post, and it's like, yeah, with your super strong build, you can cut down trees. I'm like, whoa. Whoa. Oh, Arnie, where did that come from? I think he's taking a bit of a poke at me because I'm a huggy guy, and I've, over the last couple years, have been weightlifting. So yes, I'm a small beard-growing, weightlifting gay Jew, because we're a dime a dozen.
That sounds like a good T-shirt.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, if you could fit all the words on it. And so Arnie's, I mean, he's kind of old. He's an older man, and he kind of has a hard time getting around. And so he usually sometimes will use a cane. And stupid me is not thinking. So I see him at Worlds, and I go, Arnie, how are you doing? And I get him in this big bear hug and start lifting him, and then I have to stop and go, what are you doing? Don't break Arnie. Put him down.
I was going to say you were going to break Arnie in half. Way to go, Reg.
I know. And I broke the Arnie. Yes. Destroy all my competition so that way I can place in freestyle. No, but it was that split second where I realized, oh crap, you shouldn't be doing that, and I had to put him down. And like the look of abject horror on my face as I'm putting him down, and I was like apologizing profusely to him, and there was his wife, and I'm like, Rita, I'm so sorry, I almost broke your husband. He's really light, you know. In all defense, he's super light.
Yeah, he's a thin guy.
He really is. But yeah, getting to meet him and getting to chat with him and getting to compete with him, never beating him, but getting to again. That's so immaterial because it has been so fun to, you know, to get to know him and so many other people who do this, who spend like 6 hours, in a hotel room, with a blow dryer and hairspray and fighting with hair and the fact that all of us are masochistic enough to do this.
Yeah.
It takes a certain kind of person, and I've met a lot of people and have gotten a lot of advice from people who do the same category and who will go out to these events, and I'm very thankful for that.
All right, now we touched upon. There's like 10,000 things I want to talk to you about, but there was the one thing that I really wanted to get together with you. And this specific episode, like I said, episode 69, I've had this planned out. It's so funny.
Oh my.
But
what could it be?
I don't know. So I'm like, I got to do an episode about sex. And so as I've been thinking about this for, literally like a year, if not more, as I'm like recording episode 20, I'm like already thinking episode 69. But I've been trying to figure out like who would be the person to talk to that would know something interesting or have some funny sex story that was just kind of something oddball, but somehow make it beard related because, of course, this podcast is all about beards and all the fun things that bearded guys do and the girls and everything. And lo and behold, someone falls right into my lap this past summer, with a story about something that they do for a living. And so why don't you take it from there? I don't even remember how the whole conversation got started, other than maybe you were just really excited to share it with everyone. But
yes, we were talking about professions, and I currently work in graphic design. And at one point, that's when I was like, although for a decade, I used to translate porn. And people are like, no, you didn't. And then I would look at them and go, Hi, so desu. Regev to moushimasu. Gei no ero no manga no honyakusho nan desu yo ne. I translate erotic gay bear manga from Japanese to English. And the things that I have had to put into English. There is a gentleman who currently lives in Okinawa who does sexy gay bear comics, and it's beardy dudes getting it on with other dudes. And some of it is, if you've ever seen Japanese erotica, Japanese concepts of sex are really way on a different planet than a lot of others.
Before we get too far into that, why don't you explain, like, how, was this something that you were into? Like, number one, was this a type of porn that you were into, the Japanese style porn?
Well, I don't know if it was into, but the fact that there were, I was a big anime and manga fan when I was in college, and an ex of mine actually said, "Hey, I know that you like this stuff. You should check out this man." And I looked at his website, and sure enough, there were these kind of like steamy, somewhat romantic pictures, and I went, "Wow, these are very nice." And I messaged
they were tasty,
him.
sexy.
Oh yes, they were. Again, I hadn't delved quite into the super hardcore here, because it was just basically these here's two men who are out in a traditional Japanese house, and their one's kind of behind the other and kind of nibbling on the other's ear, and it was like, oh, that's actually kind of steamy, that's nice. And it was rare for me at that point in time to see guys in illustrations that I was like, oh, this is kind of hot, and they were a very Japanese style illustrations, but still with the big husky men, and they were very well done. So I had sent an email to the illustrator and in Japanese, and told him, I really love your work, greetings from the United States. And he was very surprised, and he was like, wow, I never realized that there were, my work was being seen in the States. I'm kind of amazed to meet an American who speaks Japanese. And we started going back and forth, and he's like, yeah, I'm trying to, make an English version of my site. So would you be able to help me? How would you say this in English? How would you say this? And it slowly built up to, he was publishing a comic in a Japanese, it's a gay magazine. I don't know if it even still exists. It was called G-Man. G stands for gay.
No shit.
Don't tell anyone. But a lot of they would have photos of huskier gentlemen, and a lot of comics from different artists. And he said, I'm going to have an English comic. Could you translate it for me? I'll pay you this much. And I said, absolutely. Fantastic. And so the problem with this is that I didn't see the illustrations. I just had a script. And it would be the lines of dialogue. And then in parentheses, it would say sound of blank. And because it's a comic, I would have to write in the onomatopoetic word, the sound effect word. And so you would have sound of car stopping. Oh, that's easy. Sound of footsteps. Tip, 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 tip. This is easy, right?
Yeah.
And then comes sound of penis entering anus. And I stared at that for a solid 5 minutes going, I don't know. And it's not like I could refer to other comics. It's not like I can flip through an issue of X-Men and go, oh, hey, this is the episode where Colossus rapes Beast. Right, I'll use that. And so I'm just I have to figure out something. And I was using AOL Instant Messenger, because that's what you used at the time. And I would hit up friends and I would say, hey, I'm working on a project. I need an onomatopoetic word for anal sex. And one of my friends said, how about ow? And I'm like, it's coming out of his ass. His ass is not screaming ow. And 2 days pass. All the rest of the dialogue is translated, and I just have that. And at that point, I just didn't care anymore. So I just wrote schlick. SCHLLCK. Save, send, schlick. And it became a bit of a running gag. I still lived with my folks at the time, and I would get copies of the final version of things sent. And so I was having it sent to a friend's house. And later on, months later, this friend sent me a message and said, yeah, so you got a package from Japan today. Did you translate schlick again? And Yep, that's me. I'm the schlick guy. And this has become a problem for me because as much as I would love like a real translation job, frequently when you apply for these jobs, they say, "Hey, so can we see your translation portfolio?" And I have to go, "Yeah, no,
Oh, man.
because no."
Unless you're staying in the same industry, right?
Right, right. Oh, again, the things I have had to translate. At one point, I was, the artist had asked me to quote lyrics from a country song and then explain the lyrics to him in Japanese. So I had to explain the Boot Scoot Boogie in Japanese, which was terrible. And then apparently in the same comic, again, I got like the basic rundown. And then I remember having to translate the words prehensile anus. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm misunderstanding you. When you say this, what exactly do you mean? Oh, you do mean a prehensile anus. What the fuck are you talking about? What is this? And apparently it was a comic about a guy who was a hitchhiker, and he would pick up dudes and then have sex with them, and then apparently use the powers of his grabby butthole to hold people ransom and get money and valuables, and then go to the next one. And
That sounds like a superpower.
This is the worst X-Men power ever. and I remember reading the script, and I'm like, am I really translating this?
My lord.
Holy fucking hell. And sure enough, it popped up in a American chub porn magazine called Bulk Mail. Get it? Because all gay magazines have to be a pun. And the worst part is, for whatever reason, there was some confusion, and the magazine Bulk Mail considered the magazines that they were sending me part of my subscription, so I would have to first catch the magazine before my dad did, because again, I was like still living at home, so I was getting all of these magazines out of the mailbox, timing it like, oh, it's Tuesday, it's showing up today. Nope, I'll get the mail, yoink. But then the magazine was was folding. The print part was folding. And so they sent me a check for $20 for the remainder of my non-existent subscription. And I was like, I didn't subscribe to you. I was the translator. I don't know why you're sending me money, but whatever, money's money.
Yeah.
It was very odd, but I didn't know that they were doing this. So I was at work, and my dad checks the mail, and he opens up this letter from Bulk Mail Industries, and there was a note that said, "Oh, we're becoming an online-only magazine. Maybe you want to pose for us." And here's a picture of like a chubby guy like bent over a chair, wearing a G-string. And then there's a check for $20. So my dad sees pose for our magazine and a $20 check. And I come home from work a few hours later, and I'm like, "Hey, Dad, how are you doing? What's for dinner?" And he's like, "Oh, did some groceries, made a roast." "Are you posing for porn?" And I'm like, "Well, what?" And he starts waving this $20 check in my face and starts pointing to the post for our magazine flyer. And he's like, "What is this?" And I'm like, no, I'm not posing for porn. And if I did pose for porn, I'm gonna do it for a lot more than $20 fucking dollars. Yeah, because they just asked me to just flop my dick out at the subway station. Like, there you go, boom. All right, thanks for the 20, bye. No, that did not happen. I did not pose for porn. But it took a really long time to convince my father that, in fact, I was not posing for porn, and that was when I had to tell him that I was translating porn.
And
I don't think he believed. And he's like, if you're posing, it's okay. I'm like, no, I'm not posing. I'm simply taking someone's dirty Japanese thoughts and putting them into dirty English.
now, and what was his overall reaction then once he did realize that is exactly what you were doing?
You better not tell your grandmother. I don't want to explain this to her. Yeah, because we're just going to discuss that over Passover dinner. I'm like, by the way, Grandma, let me teach you a lovely phrase in Japanese. Ore no daimaro finisher. Do you want to know what it means?
Oh, man.
Yeah. And it's funny you brought it up because I haven't done it in a very long time. Translate porn, that is. And I just got a message last week asking me about doing another translation, which is apparently going to be published in Switzerland. So apparently I need to translate German into Japanese into English. So this is going to be a blast.
Now, do you speak German?
I read it better than I speak it. With my late partner, he was actually German, which was a little awkward because my mother was an Israeli Jew and kind of had super not great thoughts about Germans. But German kind of became our arguing language between me and my partner. And I distinctly remember waking up one morning. He worked thirds, I worked first. So he was usually up when I woke up for work if he had the day off. And he was looking at profiles of bears on the internet, and he pulls up this profile. This dude had like this giant fucking dick. Like you could have like beat someone to death with this thing. I don't know what you would have done with it. You could have used it to like break furniture apart before you throw it in a dumpster. I don't know, but it wasn't going into any human orifice. It was just fucking huge. And so that's when my partner looked at me with these sad eyes, and he said, "Ich habe ein kleiner Schwanz." I have a small dick. And I go, nein, ich finde deinen Schwanz toll. No, I think your dick's great. So this goes like back and forth for like 20 minutes. And I finally switch back to English and go, okay, you know what? I love you, but I have to go to work. I'm not doing this anymore. Goodbye. And as I'm walking to my bus stop, it occurs to me, motherfucker, you just argued about dick in German for 20 goddamn minutes. Who does that?
Oh, boy, the life you've led.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yes, so that's why, like, depending on the topic, sometimes, like, I will try to speak to Ernie in German, and it's clear that I'm not a native speaker. But, boy, you start talking about sex, and boom, I am on it.
So 10 years you translate. Now, did you just strictly do the comic, or did you end up doing anything else other than that?
Parts of his site, but it was mostly you would get like a 10 to 20 page comic, and there are several well-known artists who do bear themed gay comics, and again, it's pretty hardcore stuff. And certain artists get into way crazier shit than others. And there's one gentleman who, you wouldn't know it, but he's best known for doing something called Otto no Otto, my younger brother's husband. And it's like this, it's a mainstream comic. And it's like, oh, it's this man whose twin brother died, and his gay partner comes from Canada and tries to reconcile a relationship, and it's very sweet, and they just made it a TV series. But that same artist does what I call nightmare porn. And it's like, it starts off like, okay, this is kind of hot, this is nice, and then it takes like this sharp right turn, and then you're like, okay, I need an adult, I'm not reading this anymore. I will have nightmares.
What is nightmare gay porn? Is it like a gay male having sex with a woman?
No, if only it were that. A good example is one of his pieces of work was called Zenith. Like the old TV brand.
Oh, yes.
And Zenith, so you see it's an older man, and he's apparently very well-to-do, and he is bringing a trick back to his super pimped-out house. And, the younger man is like, wow, your place is so nice. This is beautiful. I can't believe that you have such a, elaborate place. And the older man goes, well, let me show you my foyer. And he goes into this room, and there is, boy, I can't even believe I'm explaining this. There is a man attached to the wall, no limbs, apparently on life support, and there's just some weird junk hooked up to his junk. And the old man explains, this is my living statue. And then looks at the young man and says, I would like you to be my next living statue. And as I'm reading this, I'm like, I'm really not liking where this is going. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. So I turn the page, and then we get to apparently the first part of him becoming the living statue, and they start removing the younger man's teeth, and that's when I'm like, I have laundry to do. I don't need to read this. And that's when I closed the book and was like, I'm good. I'm good. This is not hot. My dick has now gone all the way inside me. I now have a vagina. Thank you, nightmare porn. This was anti-hot.
Wow.
I'm done. And so, you get into, these... When I said that you get into these concepts of sexuality, you get into things like rape, things like castration, like body modification. You get into these really things that are usually not most people's cup of tea. Most people would look at that and go that's not sex, that's assault and or a horror movie.
Torture.
And I think, right, and I need to call the police. So he's got volumes of this stuff. There was one called Silver Splendor, where it's this man who apparently was well-to-do in feudal Japan, and then something happens, and he becomes everyone's fuck toy, and he's basically just getting tortured for 3 books, 3 giant, 200-page books. You name it. He's getting shit on. He's getting things stabbed into him. Everything. He's getting raped. It's this. It's really to the point where you're like, I can't beat off to this. I would feel like a terrible person if I would be getting aroused by this. So the artwork itself is very detailed, very well done. And that in itself makes it that much harder to look at when things start going south. And you're like, well, I'm just going to put this away.
Yeah, this is very uncomfortable now. You've made this whole sex conversation gone very uncomfortable real quick.
Well, now you know how I feel. Now you know how I feel as a young man who does know nothing about this work. Knows nothing. And you're like, oh, hey, these dudes look hot. Clearly some sexy fun time's going to happen. And then it takes that Clive Barker turn, and you're like, I need an adult. Yeah, I need to talk to someone.
There you mentioned I'm a huge fan of Clive Barker and his artwork. I love his stuff. I mean, I've looked at, and I know he's gay, correct? Maybe.
Dear Clive, do you like the dick? Y/N. Sincerely, Reagan. Just send that. I'll send that to his Grindr profile, and we'll see what he says. But yeah, it's fantasy is weird, and there have been do I put this? There have been guys who have been a little too forward with guys that I've known in the bearding circle. See, I brought it all back together.
Oh yeah, there we go. We're gonna end this on a strong note.
Yes, and then I've had to explain a lot of things, and one gentleman was like, "There's this guy, and he seems to be really into me, and he's calling me daddy, and I don't know what." So I've had to explain a lot of things about like BDSM and like weird gay sex roles to someone who's like, who knew nothing about this.
Yeah.
And so anytime I see him, he'll look at me and he'll go, the shit you've explained to me. And I'm like, well, you asked this stuff. If you didn't want to know, don't ask the question. I don't know.
What?
Yeah, so apparently this younger gentleman was very intent on being a submissive boy to a gentleman I know out in California. And he's like, I don't know what to do with this. I need some help. Help. Gay man, please explain this to me. I need a manual. And I'm just like, oh, you're adorable.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I'm very oblivious to a lot of it because I haven't experienced it. I mean, I have more like female friends that are gay, but like I've never had to like really ask questions or anything about this stuff. I've never really experienced it, but I mean, I'm totally comfortable with it and fine with it. It doesn't bother me or anything. In fact, it's like that's why I enjoy talking to you because it's like I feel more like relaxed talking to you about the stuff and learning about it. Like it's actually kind of funny to like hear your stories.
Yeah. Well, you see, Scott, when two men like each other very much, sometimes for only a couple of hours, that's
a quick one.
Well, I know a couple guys who are, it's that kind of a comfort that I would like to elicit because there are guys who kind of are just like, they're really kind of blunt and they're very like, you're hot and you're my sexual fantasy. And sometimes some guys get really kind of squigged out by that because that's new to them. And they're like, I don't know what to do here.
Yeah, but
this is weird.
But that's like a dude, like he'll do that to a chick or a girl.
Oh, yeah.
He won't have two thoughts about, going, hey, you're hot, let's fuck or something, like he don't care. I mean, it's you deal with the same thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, and as long as I will always be here to answer any bizarre questions that you may have. Like, what are poppers? Or
jalapeno poppers.
No, absolutely not. You should not put those two together.
Okay.
Poppers and jalapeno poppers are not the same. And if you use the one for the other, I am not responsible for what's going to happen.
Oh, so you're talking like the party poppers? You like stick?
No. It's the little jar. There's a little jar of it's
jelly
has
preserves.
a gas in it, and gay men sometimes will use it, and it will give them a rush during sex. And in certain areas of the country, it's considered illegal, which means that people just sell them as like VCR head cleaner. So if you're ever somewhere and you're like, why were they selling VCR head cleaner? Yeah, it's poppers, and gay guys are getting off on it. So there you go.
All right.
There you go.
A good Christmas
the more
gift.
you know.
That's right. It's a gift that keeps on giving, apparently.
Yeah. So like, there's like a whole world that I have over the last 20 years have become very acclimated to, and sometimes it's hard for me to go, what do you mean you don't know what a power bottom is? Oh, right, you're not gay.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it. Although now this sounds like a really terrible like game show where you just bring a bunch of like straight guys who have never heard any of this shit before. And they're like, here's a bunch of gay terminology. Can you tell me what it is?
Oh,
And you can win a prize. And that prize is probably something that you don't want. Here you go. Here's a giant dildo. There you go.
And I'm sure
Congratulations, you win. Yay.
And I'm sure that a lot of the people that are going to be listening to this too, it's and as the same for me, you know, a learning experience about learning about the gay lifestyle and the culture, especially when it comes to the bears and the bearded men, and then also like with the porn part of it too, where, you know, the whole lifestyle of porn. I mean, it doesn't even need to be Japanese porn. It could be any type. But I mean, it's a whole world that people like me and tons of other people just don't know that's going on. I mean, it's just like what you just said. It's you've been going through it for over 20 some years, and it's like you don't understand that people just don't. You talk about it and you don't think about people not understanding it because it's your everyday life.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think the best way I can state it is like if I've gone to a bear run and you're surrounded by guys and you can go up to them and you could be like, yeah, you're really cute, and you can try to hook up, you could just try to flirt, you could just dance, you could get all kind of huggy and everything, and that's kind of like the expected thing, and suddenly you're not in that circle anymore, you're not in that group anymore, and then you kind of catch yourself where you'll see a guy who's kind of built bear-like, and you're going to be like, yeah, fucking woof, and you're like, wait, I'm in the real world now, I can't do that, right, nope, can't do that. I think in a way that sometimes like when we do bearding contests, and there's a whole kind of, I don't want to say there's a protocol, but there's kind of like a set of behavior and kind of like a let loose nature that happens there. And then you go back to your real world and you're like, oh, right, I can't do this shit anymore because I'm back in the real world.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense to you?
Yeah.
In a way, except obviously a lot less dick in that last example. But still. It's interesting how we will have these separate worlds that we live in, apart from what would, I guess, be considered like this mainstream life. And I think up to a point, everyone kind of has it, and some of ours are just a little further out than others. Some of us have stories about men who we call "fuck my pussy" guy, and then that's a thing. And I don't think too many people have people in their lives who they've given that nickname to.
I don't think so.
I do. Well, it might be a bit of an inappropriate story, but sometimes when you go to bear runs, they will have something called a dark room. And the point of the dark room is you go in and
develop film.
Yes, you develop film, and you go like, oh, my finger was right in the shot. Oh, what was I doing? It's basically you're gonna get laid. Like you're kind of like, all right, I'm in the mood, and other guys are looking to hook up, and that's great. And it's this very dark room. And many years ago, I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of in the mood, and I go into the dark room, and there's guys who are all over, and they're playing, and I'm just kind of just like trying to see what's going on in this very dimly lit room.
But you can't see because it's a dark room.
Well, right. And then if you're blind, it's even worse But
really dark room.
So suddenly I remember two guys coming into the room, and one was this not attractive, hefty set guy.
How could you tell though it was a dark room?
Well, he was by the door, so you could kind of tell. And then this very old gentleman is with him, and the old gentleman faces the same direction as the hefty set gentleman sitting. And the old man sits down and he starts sliding his ass back and forth on the dude's crotch.
Jeez.
And I almost like if you have a credit card that's demagnetized and you keep like sliding it back and forth thinking it might actually work. It was kind of like that. And that's when I heard it. That's when I heard this high, shrill voice screaming, "Fuck my pussy! Fuck my pussy! fuck my pussy. And it was so not hot and so unattractive that everyone eventually left the room. And they're like, I came in wanting sex and now I won't want it for the next 2 months.
Wow, I don't either. That just ruined it for me.
Fuck my pussy. And a year later, I tell this story to a friend of mine, and it was at a party, and another guy pops his head out and goes, "Oh yeah, I used to work at that event. You're talking about fuck my pussy guy. Yeah, he's there every year." And I'm like, is that on his driver's license? Guy, comma, fuck my pussy? Is that what it says? Wow. So the fact that this dude had this infamy for apparently going in and just like screaming, fuck my pussy at the top of his lungs. It's just the fact I will tell you right now, as a gay man, that is not hot. At all.
It's actually making my skin crawl a little bit.
It really was. It just, like, I could still hear the dude's voice. It was kind of like a higher pitched Paul Lynde. It was really not hot. Somewhere someone's getting off on it, I suppose, but that is not most people. Yeah. And the fact that I've had experiences like this where I'm just like, well, that happened. That was supposed to be sexy, and I'm done. Yeah, that's been my gay life, and that stuff happens. And sadly, a lot. If you ever get to meet other gay men, they might have my sad, unsexy moment is this. And we have become open enough that we're just like, yeah, boom. This is a thing. This happened. Boom. And we're so open about sexuality that we feel comfortable telling stories and like laughing about it, because how could you not laugh at something horribly super unsexy like that? That's as sexy as Bozo the Clown. No. Oh God, no. No.
Oh my gosh.
So if ever, that's not hot.
No.
I don't know if that's something that you want to end on, but yes.
I'm going to leave. I'm leaving it in there. I'm leaving it in there because it's all part of it, and it's part of it.
Yeah. At some point, may you be comfortable enough to be in the middle of a barrel and go, yeah, there's this one time, and you'll tell some like horrible like sex gone awry story, and people will be like, wow, Scott. Wow, that's a fantastic story. And and you'll be like, yeah, and I survived that shit. Because I think at some point, like, we're so trained to have like a shame in sex that when people do talk openly about it, it's like, oh my God, but I think it's something to enjoy. It's something to laugh at, something to reminisce about, something to be like, yeah, that happened. Through all the good, through all the bad, through all the Jesus Christ, please tell me someone else experienced this so that I don't feel like as big of a freak, And I'm not saying like, bring it up at like a Dairy Queen, when you're like, yeah, I want a Thin Mint Blizzard. Man, have you ever gotten rimmed? Don't do that. That's not what I was like, but just a little more comfort, because unless you're a nun, you're getting, at some point, you've thought about sex, at some point you've had sex. Yeah. It might not have been great sex. Yeah. It might have been awkward. Sometimes the pursuit might have gone horribly awry, but it happens. We're human. We're sexual beings. So most of us, there are people who are asexual, but I mean, even they might, there might even be sex there, I'm assuming. But yeah, and it's life. And sometimes it's something to be enjoyed, if not to laugh at horribly, because goddamn, fuck my pussy, really? Really? Really?
Oh, all right. Well, let's just wrap this up since we'll wrap it up on the high note you've given us right here.
Oh, wow. Well, brava.
Thank you.
Brava.
Thank you. I don't know what
Of
you're
course.
saying. It sounded good though, but
Bravo. It's like female bravo.
oh, okay.
If a lady you want to say bravo to, you'd say brava.
Brava. Brava.
Oh, wow. You're so convincingly Italian.
I know you like that. I like the spaghetti.
Oh, God. And now you're Mario.
I know.
God.
You like the Luigi.
It's me, saving the princess for like the 100th time.
I'm going to save the princess.
Oh, why she just needs to save her damn self. Oh.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you for these great stories. I thank you for sharing the gay lifestyle with us. I thank you for sharing the Japanese porn, and I thank you for sharing the horrible story about fuck my pussy.
Oh, man. I'm very morbidly curious to kind of see exactly what kind of responses that this gets you.
Hey, well,
man.
Who knows? I mean, and that's like I said, there's going to be a lot of people learning a lot of fun stuff about all of this stuff. Like I said, for me, I mean, there was some, for the most part, it was pretty entertaining. And then there was a couple cringy moments in there. But like I said, it's all going to...
could it have been Zenith? Because trust me, it was cringeworthy for me too.
Well, okay. So like I said, it's, hey, maybe someone would cut that part of the interview out. But for me, it's all part of talking to you. It's all part of the experience. And, hey, it's not all, like you say, it's not going to all be like the best experience. There's going to be those shitty experiences or those weird experiences that just kind of make your skin crawl. But hey, it's all part of it.
It's all life.
It is.
Well, I'm glad that you were genuinely... I consider it a win because a couple of times I heard you cracking up and I'm like, yes. And that's absolutely the goal. That's absolutely goal because you know what, it's such a bizarre fucking experience. Someone else might as well enjoy it. You know?
Yeah.
It's so weird and out there. I mean, it almost feels like I don't know if you remember the old game show What's My Line?
It's been a while.
Where, it was basically someone would go in and they would have like a really weird profession, and you would have this panel of like celebrities, and they would have to ask questions about what you do, and they would have to be yes or no questions, and they would have to figure out what you did, and it would be like, I'm a marine biologist, or I'm a lawyer for the deaf, or something really kind of like unusual. And so then the thought of like me being the panelist, and then it just says at the bottom of the screen, translates porn, and people going, do you provide a service? Yes, I do. Do people enjoy your services? I'll say. And like, if anyone would have ever guessed that in that kind of a format, I would be amazed. Because you would have to ask some really specific... Do adults enjoy your stuff? Yes, frequently. Do children enjoy your stuff? I would hope not.
Yeah.
I would hope that. That's the reason the book says 18 plus on the cover. Would you consider? Do you work in the entertainment field? Yes.
Yes.
Why? Yes, I do. I don't know how you could possibly pinpoint that.
Yeah, that would be a tough one to like just answer, or doing yes and no questions to like.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was hard enough to be like, oh, I'm a deaf interpreter to music or something. Like, even that was like far off enough that no one could have gotten it. So that if you do something like I translate porn, or I make dildos in my basement, or something weird.
Yeah.
No one's gonna fucking get that. Also, you're never gonna be on NBC. There's no chance in fucking hell that they're gonna be like, coming up next after the match game. No. As hilarious as it would be, no.
All right, buddy.
Sorry, that's a passion of mine. So thank you so much for having me on your show and discussing all matters of things. I have truly enjoyed this.
I have truly enjoyed this too. I enjoyed our time together in Austin. And I was listening through some of the footage that I recorded there, and there was a little bit that you took the mic from me and you were going around talking to people and you were telling your story, and I would have used that, but actually I lost. I believe that I only caught half of the story, so I got I got it like halfway through. So that's why I was like, I'd rather just talk to him again and get it all from him this time. So,
well, good. I'm glad that you got to.
But yes, so I'm sure we will run into each other at some point this year. What's any comps that you're going to this year?
So I actually had a hernia, so money is super tight because I get to pay a good chunk of that out of pocket. So I don't know. I was actually hoping to do Sacramento, which is in a few weeks, and then I got invited to Tel Aviv. Chaim Hoffman gave me the flyer for the Tel Aviv event in June.
Oh yeah,
and as much as I would fucking love to go back to Israel, because it's been eons.
Yeah,
would love to do that. I mean, Israel's really expensive, and I'm just like, oh right, travel costs money.
Yeah.
Also, having been in Israel in June, who thought that was a good idea to get a bunch of guys with a bunch of facial hair and like possibly freestyle in like the 100-degree weather in the middle of fucking Tel Aviv? Okay, whatever. I did not plan this. Also, it's apparently the European nationals, and the last time I checked, Israel is not part of Europe, but whatever. It's a thing. Chaim gave me the flyer when I was talking to someone, and the conversation switched to Hebrew. And then when Chaim left, I turned back to the guy I was talking to and then forgot what language I was speaking and just stared at him because I like mentally blew screen of death. And like blinked at him a couple times and then screamed, "English, right!" And then just started talking like nothing happened. And he's just giving me that "you're on crack" look. He's like, "What the fuck was that?" I'm like, I can't go back and forth that easily anymore because it just doesn't happen anymore. So I had to be like, and like if you use a Mac and like when the Mac is loading and it has that little spinning disco ball thing, that's kind of what was going on there, where it's like, wait, loading, English, right?
Time to reboot.
Right, time to reboot. Control-Alt-Delete. It was a good, So as much as I would love to do that, so I don't know. Bill Peterson's trying to get me to Springfield. Every third sentence that's out of his mouth is, "Hey, so my comp is, on such and such day." I'm like, "Yes, Bill, I love you, and I know." I mean, he means well, and I haven't seen him in forever, so I mean that's awesome. And I have never done the event, even though I've done their logo. I've never done the Queen City. Any of their events. I've never been in Springfield, Missouri. I don't know what's there.
I don't either. Apparently, like a competition, so we do know that.
Right. But so in my mind, it's just like completely barren wasteland and like a stage in the middle of nowhere, and a bunch of people just holding up numbers, and they're like,
and they have beards.
Yeah, they have beards, and they're like, "Are we gonna get an audience?" Echo, echo, echo.
Echo.
I don't know. I know literally not. I know Springfield, Missouri exists.
Yes, we do.
And beyond that, they could have unicorns. I don't know. Fuck you. You could tell me anything right now. You could say Springfield, Missouri has dancing elephants and Soviet tanks, and it'd be like, "Oh, okay, that's cool. I guess. All right, sure." I don't know better. I don't know.
All right, buddy. Well, we're gonna wrap this up, but thank you again, and we'll talk to you soon. All right.
All right. You take care and don't be a stranger. All right.
I will not. And I guess you have the best night ever, and I hope you recover from your surgery.
Oh, I shall. I'm trying, slowly but surely. So yeah, we'll see. Well, thank you much. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
And cut. Wow. Yeah, wow is about all I can say. There was a few moments in there where he just had me laughing really hard, and there were also a couple times in there where I definitely was cringing pretty hard. So, yeah, just let me know how you felt about this interview with Reg. You can email me, scott@thebeardcaster.com. Your feedback would be greatly appreciated. So, I know that I'm doing what you guys are liking, or if I'm not doing something. I mean, if you by some chance hated this episode and you don't want me to cover this topic anymore, let me know, because this is definitely a topic that I would like to cover a little bit more in the future. Not on a regular basis, but I try to cover as many different things as I can that are beard related. And yeah, this just so happens to be one of them that's a prevalent thing in the bearding community. Part of it that we don't get to see very much, but he lives, and it's there. So like I said, give me some feedback if you wish, scott@thebeardcaster.com, and go to my website, thebeardcaster.com, to check out more information about myself and all the cool stuff that's going on in the scene. Find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can see what's going on. I'm putting up some new news articles and stuff about different cool things that are going on in the world of mustachery and bearding and all that stuff. I'm always scouring the internet trying to find the latest news that's going on. So it might be some fun article or some stupid thing. So make sure you like my Facebook page, because there's always new stuff coming up. And don't forget to go to thebeardcaster.com/win for your chance to win one of my great prize packs. All you got to do is sign up on my mailing list, and you are entered to win. It'll be a random drawing. I'm using Alexa right here. I say hi, Alexa. Or don't, because you're just a stubborn bitch. But Suri would say hi, but I'm not going to ask Suri, because I actually like Alexa much better, because her reaction is just so much. Hey, Alexa, tell me a really good Star Wars joke. I don't know, your mom? That was just great. Oh, and how about this? Alexa, why don't you tell me a Star Trek joke. See, you don't even want to tell. Let's try that again. Alexa, tell me a Star Trek joke. I don't know. A fat tribble. That was a very inappropriate joke, but this was a very inappropriate episode. So, all right, well, I hope you all enjoyed today's episode, and make sure you're subscribed. You can go to, like I said, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, all these different places. Any place that you subscribe to podcasts, just do a search for The Beardcaster and hit subscribe. And that'll be it for today. We got some really interesting stuff planned for the future here. We're going to be traveling far distances for some great interviews. So we hope you enjoy that. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss anything that's going on with The Beardcaster. So I guess that's it for today. Enjoy your week, and we'll talk to you soon. Be safe, everyone, and ciao.
What's Han Solo's least favorite coffee shop? Java the Hutt.
僕は誰が
What do you get when you feed a tribble too much? A fat tribble.
アロン・ジョンソンさんは 本当にダメだ。